Good morning, folks. Hang on, you got about, 45 seconds. Just making sure it stays recording.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's Talk Radio.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is a very real prospect of a new world order. The new world order does not mean surrendering our national sovereignty or forfeiting our interests. He took an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America. By some, he's been called controversial. Now, keep in mind that some of my guests have been approached by Homeland Security or FBI saying, why are you going over the Clay Douglas show? My message to those guys, if they're listening this morning, is go get a cup of coffee, maybe you'll learn something. We don't put the same on. To defend the Constitution against all English foreign and domestic. I don't recall there being an expiration date on that. He is the free American, Clay Douglas. Catch the Green American weekdays at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. Every time I think about the damage that's been done, the angry winds drag me till I'm almost overcome. I want to tear the moon down, the sky and up the sun. For the podcast and more details, visit www.freeamerican.com or catch the podcast by phone by calling 832-998-8631.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Free American. I'm your host. I am Clay Douglas. And my guest today is the mighty Phoenix, Russell Pappalardo. Hello, Russell. How are you?
Good morning, Clay. I'm just sitting here waiting to get rolling. While we talk, I'm soaking my foot because of a little surgical procedure I performed on myself yesterday. Rather than going to a hospital and getting treated by a doctor and being charged $1,500 to $2,000 and then giving medications that would cause more problem than the problem with my foot. Today I'm going to talk about the so-called Patriot Bill, which is not patriotic at all. But first I want to get something out of the way. Many of you folks out there are addicted to pain prescription drugs and also benzodiazepines. I'm well aware of it. Now, folks, I did a video on this about a year and a half ago. It started out with a lip sync of Mick Jagger's Jumpin' Jack Flash, and I went on to say that was part of the late 1960s drug culture and talked about the new dangers of prescription drugs. The video was so good that somebody picked up on it and boosted the post on Facebook. I got 1,200 likes. Well, those mother frackers, those Jews who own Facebook, have hidden it from my timeline. I also got another 50 likes, 30-something likes. I had about 1,200 or more likes, over 3,000 views. That's 1 out of 3 they liked and favorably comment on it, and now they hide it. Because Facebook is a tool of the Zionist agenda. They want to keep you addicted, spend your money, and make Big Pharma, the big pharmaceutical countries, rich. They're a despicable organization. Be careful of them. If you're going to post, the only way to deal with them is to be very aggressive and assertive, because the Jews have no backbone. They have no balls. They get the Goyim, the Shabbos Goys, the Christian Zionists to do their dirty work. Without the Christian Zionists, the Jews are nothing. Nothing. They're paper tigers. Anyway, the Patriot Bill. When 9/11 occurred, the Senate immediately came up with this idea, which was not a new idea, because this Patriot Bill was written many, many years before. Obviously, and I know this from insiders who said that they knew that those who after they first read it, said we're going to have to get a lot of people killed to get this passed. So the Senate claimed that they read it in one night, 345 pages. They perused it. It's so difficult to read. Not even an Einstein could do that in one night. It's a joke. But the Senate came up with the idea of passing this bill, calling it the United in Strengthening America Act. What a charade. What a sham. The government, well, I should say the Zionist-controlled government, George Tush, that piece of crap that he is, the POS, he was told by his Jewish friends to call it the Patriot Bill. So they came up with the idea, they compromised and called it the U.S. Patriot Act. It's a total charade. And before I hand this back over to Clay to tell you how after I tell you that not only they passed this bill to enslave you, after they had the Mossad, in collaboration with the CIA, do 911, and then make money on it, which Clay is an adept at that. He knows more about it than I do, more in detail. I'm going to read my poem on 911 that got me pretty famous. The poem is this. Is he here? It's called That Damned Elusive Arab Man. Is he here or is he there? The dummies seek him everywhere. He was in Iraq, now he's in Iran. That damned elusive Arab man. But could he be in Eisner land, on the Potomac, your Potomac, in hiding like a mouse, at Lord Rothschild's magic kingdom, at his hand-picked Puffaden's house? Is he hiding behind a stately bush while you Christian Zionists, you dummies, scratch your tush and sit on brains wrapped all mushed in mush as you swallow the slavery of the Patriot Bill that was written by rabbis who run Capitol Hill? Oh no, you cattle moo. You have to be insane. We heard it all on CNN. You have to be insane. But did the reporters speak of Global Hawk and remote-controlled airplanes, or that the Israelis took off on that hypocritical day, and when the planes crashed, they were away? And that explosions were heard, Dan Rather not say? Could Dan and Diane be under sway of the power of the purse that day? So I guess we must ignore the facts and to truth be apathetic. For even though those facts are facts, they'll call us anti-Semitic. And the sheep I try to wake up now, Ben Babad, he was in Iran. And they send their babies off to war to the stolen chosen lands, where Arabs and Christians lay down in death or await the time of dying. And you stupid mother frackers fail to hear the hidden hand of Zion. Like Paul Parrots, you now cry. And if they do it today, you fools, we must attack Iran. What's a few more sons and daughters compared to Uncle Sam, who is in truth Samuel the Demon, the king of Eisner land, where Osama is probably living large with a crew cut and suntan. And soon you'll say he's Idaho. Better hope it's not in your band, or the flag that waves your rights away will put you in the can. And then you'll need a Daniel Webster, a Johnny Cochran, or Clarence Darrow for a lawyer. But even William Jennings Bryan couldn't save you when you're CNN by Sawyer, or Fox 5 up the ass by a pedophile or Boyer. Now, some of you will squeal he's in Somalia, where they say the Black Hawk's down. Oh, my Lord. But when you piggy shut your TV sets, the screens reflect the clowns. Is America now Eisnerland and Osama another creation of the Freemasonic White House and the Synagogue of Satan? Is Osama Emmanuel Goldstein from George Orwell's 1984? I think you better wake up, sheeple, because they're closing freedom's door. But you say, he's as hard to find as that genie of Aladdin. That damned elusive Arab man, Osama, your mama, bin Laden. Not only did your government, with the aid of the Israeli Mossad and the CIA, and you could Google it, the military knows Israel did 9/11. Not only did they do it, but the Jews capitalized on it and made a few shekels on it too, which Clay will tell you about now. Tell them what they did, Clay.
Well, 9/11 wasn't the first. They had a rehearsal in the basement of the World Trade Center, but they didn't bring enough explosives. And the patsy they set up for that had the forewithal to record his FBI handlers setting him up for that. That was a dry run, turned out to be a dry run for 9/11. The buildings were condemned, so the Jews that ran the Port Authority, they put a engineering team in for 10 years who came to the conclusion there's nothing we can do to save those buildings. We can't build scaffolding that high, it won't work. But even that dry run was not the first attempt to create this police state in America. The first attempt was called the Mirror Building in Oklahoma City, and it was put together and pulled off with the same kind of Patriot Act in the background, but again, they didn't kill enough people to get it through. They did the Mirror Building and tried to blame it on people like me. They didn't get particular and say Clay Douglas did this. They had their shill, their special forces, their army guy, Timothy McVeigh, pretend to be a militia member, and they did it on the anniversary of the attack on Waco. So when you thought of April 19th, you thought of Oklahoma City, not the 17 children killed at the church just outside of Waco in Elk, Texas. And this Patriot Act, this Police State Act, was already drafted, and they just didn't get everything they wanted, so they had to do 9/11 again. And that isn't...
Clay,
that's not even...
the money they made with the insurance.
What's that?
Tell them about the money they made on the insurance on the building.
They made a few buildings. Larry Silverstein didn't own the buildings. He leased them. And he leased them for about $500,000. Then he insured them to the hilt. I referred to it as an exaggerated case of Jewish lightning. And he leased the buildings. 3 months later, he blew them up. He had the explosives were already planted in there. All they had to do is put a couple of nuclear bombs from Israel. They obtained from Israel. They had the Mossad in here high-fiving it. They were really proud of their work. They were over in New Jersey high-fiving it. They were photographed doing that, and then they were cut loose. Then they were released. I mean, imagine if the government who tried to pin it on bin Laden, who was already dead, imagine if they had caught bin Laden and then cut him loose. Well, that's what they did with the Jews that blew up the World Trade Center and killed 3,000 people. None of which, by the way, were Jews, because, the Jews got a warning from Odego, which was a messaging service out of Israel. And remember, our phones were tapped, and mine especially on May 20th, 2004, our phones were tapped by Amdocs and Converse, two Israeli-based companies that George Bush gave the contract to tap all of our phones, and mine were the first ones they tapped. I had already referred, I put building number 7 on the cover of my March 2004 issue. Asked why did it fall? No plane hit it. And in April 2004, the story appeared in New York Times about Amdocs and Converse being allowed to tap our cell phones. And on May 20th, my phone was tapped. I got directions. Where do you need me to go next, son? Where are you, Dad? North side of Phoenix, Shaker Skin Tattoo Parlor. Go down 24th Street to McDowell. Turn left, go to the wheel shop. It's right there. 2 blocks before I got to McDowell, I was hit, T-boned by a woman with no driver's license, no insurance, in a borrowed car. And I did hear that she had drug charges pending, but she never went to court and never went to jail, as far as I know. And again, that's still not the first attack. There's 50,000 Americans killed in Vietnam. I didn't go. I volunteered to go, but I didn't go, Russell. And when I realized that they were supposedly sending us to Vietnam to fight communism, and that every plank in the Communist Manifesto was intact in America while my brothers were dying in Vietnam, I was outraged, and I tried to do something about it. I did do something about it. I helped stop a war. I sold peace symbols and all that. But God help you, if you spit on one of my brothers that did go over to Vietnam, I'd kick your ass. I was just an old biker, but I was angry and upset, and probably feeling a little bit of guilt too, because I didn't go to Vietnam, volunteered, RA all the way. And Russell, it took me 50 years to get recognized by the VA for the time I did spend in the Army. I've got my VA card now. I've met some of the people in the VA, and I intend to keep the VA and their doctors on the straight and narrow to the best of my ability. And I'd like to play something that you sent me. This is a clip. Now, I don't watch a lot of movies, and I don't watch television, period. But there was a movie made about a Vietnam veteran by the name of Ron Kovac, and it was played very well by Tom Cruise. I think it's worth playing right now, because we're getting back in. It's in what's that? What's that?
It certainly is worth it. That's why I sent it to you this morning. It certainly is, because it tells it like it is. What Clay, folks, is trying to tell you before he plays the video is we do not live in a free country. We live in an Orwellian police state, a dystopia, a collective oligarchy. In other words, we live in a kosher sewage plant. And after Clay plays it, I have something else to say, what should be done about every senator who signed that so-called Patriot bill. Go ahead, Clay. Let's
All right,
roll
well, I want to open it up with the article that will be on Veterans Today later on today. I'm waiting on the final edit. But it's not, again, this is happening again. We've got Jade Helm going on here. And, but we also had another thing happen. In Waco, again, I call it Waco 2, they killed 9 of my fellow bikers, and they arrested 120, and I wrote this about that. The translation was when the CIA came to me after my so-called accident in Arizona. They were upset with me, and the reason was I still had an income. But they were also upset about Thunder Riders, the motorcycle magazine I was publishing. They were upset about that I still had a source of income. But recent events in Waco, shortly after I came home to Texas, showed my covering of the clubs and events in Arizona without the biker gang's bias prevalent in the mainstream media, presented a threat to their plans to demonize bikers and foment the biker wars as they did after Waco 2. There was no war between bikers, just one shot fired on the parking lot led to the police killing 9 bikers from the Cossacks, wounding a dozen more, and the insane incarceration of 170 with $1 million bonds. Few of those arrested for attending the Confederation of Clubs meeting at the Twin Peaks restaurant were club members or had any criminal record. Many were offered a deal by a judge. They would be released and charges dropped if they would sign an agreement not to sue Waco. Now, when I first started the Free American, it was the gun shops and the militia they were afraid of, leading to OKC and the bombing of the Murrah building. There were hints along the way, the cops staking out Hell's Angels toy runs and photographing all who attended. The FBI referring to the Vietnam vets as a heavily armed paramilitary group. No shit, Sherlock. It was pretty obvious that someone was looking at the bikers then, and they did not like a militia supporter getting involved with the clubs and educating bikers to the whole New World Order agenda. The assault on the bikers on the eve of Jade Helm is suspicious and frightening. Jade Helm is dividing the Patriot movement also. Veterans Today, Gordon Duff, is attacking any of his riders who believe there's something sinister about Jade Helm and fired a few riders over. Recently, he's also attacked Texas for considering receding, among other issues, like taking our gold back. And I agree that we should not overreact to Jade Helm or point guns at our own troops taking any part in it. I cannot get too worked up over the Texas independence movement, but even their meetings have been raiding, attendees handcuffed, and IDs taken. I don't care for the way Texas law enforcement handled Waco 1 or 2. I think Texas laws against marijuana are over the top and have been since I was threatened with 99 years for possession 45 years ago. Now, as I enter my 7th decade, my radio show, magazine, and articles are getting more and more attention than ever. After 50 years, the VA has recognized me, and I'm still here and able to pass the truth on to a growing audience. I met a lady who helped me get the word out, editing my work, and provided me with a clean home and healthy meals. We're still dependent on my readers and listeners for donations, as I do not sell advertising. We may not recognize some of our blessings immediately. I've said Jade Helm might be God's gift to us to help wake up even more people to the problems with our government. And talking about the problems with our government, let me go to Yankee Doodle Dandy and the story of Ron Kovac.
My name is Ron Kovac. I'm a Vietnam veteran. My name is Ron Kovac. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I'm here tonight to say that this war is wrong, that this society lied to me, it lied to my brothers. They deceived the people in this country, tricked them into going 13,000 miles to fight a war against the poor peasant people who have a proud history of resistance, who have been struggling for their own independence for 1,000 years, the Vietnamese people. I can't find the words to express how the leadership of this government sickens me. People say, if you don't love America, then get the hell out. Well, I love America. We love the people of America very much, but when it comes to the government, it stops right there. The government is a bunch of corrupt thieves, they are rapists and robbers, and we are here to say that we don't have to take it anymore. We are here to say, we are here to tell the truth. They are killing our brothers in Vietnam. We want them to hear the truth tonight. We are here
And they're attacking Ron Kovac in the movie for saying that. There's three-piece suit guy comes running up and tries to hurt a man in a wheelchair. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not in a wheelchair. And if you attack a Vietnam veteran, Iraqi veteran, Afghanistan vet, yeah, I know they're over there protecting the opium poppy crop so Monsanto and pharmaceutical companies can keep their drugging Americans, so that the CIA and the Mossad can keep drugging Americans. God help you if you do it in front of me. I will put you in a hospital. And,
Clay, let me...
Go ahead, Russell.
You know, Clay just told you the story about why he didn't go to Vietnam. My story is just about the same, because I had enlisted to go into the Navy, and then the Marines, when the Navy turned me down because I had some cases pending in court, and I wound up in a correctional and a prison for 3 years. And I got to tell you a little story, because I believe it relates to this. I believe that every senator who signed that Patriot bill should be put in what you call a screening cell, which I'll tell you about in a moment. In December of 1966, I was in Comstock, New York, shipped from Elmira Reformatory, where I was for a few months, and then finished up the 3-year bid, maxed out, no parole, because they said I was incorrigible. I was on a court line inside the correctional institution, and for talking past 8 o'clock at night. You see, you still can't shut me up. But I can't be stopped, censored, or silenced. So I said something to a guy who was next to me on the line, and this big, burly correctional officer came over to me, and as he calls me a pussy, he hits me with a billy club on the head, which I eventually got from the other shots that I was hit with, about 17 stitches in the head. I have about close to 50 from different altercations up there. So my knees buckled, and I came up with a violent left 1-2, and I dropped that big fat bastard. And they put me in they beat on me. Of course, I wouldn't quit, and they threw me in what you call a screening cell on the flats. And a screening cell, they make you stand there or lay there for 3 days nude, and everybody walks by and looks at you. Of course, nobody chirped me. In fact, most of the big black guys who walked by just nodded their head, you know, in respect, because I don't take shit from nobody. But I would put every senator in a screening cell who signed that, and I would let them out once a week to get fucked by the other prisoners. That's what I would do. As far as Obama and Bush, no, I would leave them in the population all the time. I would let them get butt-fucked on a daily basis. That's what I would do. I play hardball. I have no respect for the rulers in this country, and I haven't had for many years. They're a bunch of Zionist-controlled puppets. And the only reason why the senators passed that Patriot bill and said they read it, which they did not, was out of fear. Because if they did not, they would not be a senator. Because the AIPAC, or the Israeli lobby, controls who is going to be a congressman, a senator in the United States. of what I call Israel, which is now a kosher sewage plant. And if you doubt me, go to Google and put in America Vanquished, now a Jewish colony, or now an Israeli colony. And you'll see 2 videos proving what I said. And you could go to YouTube and Google Obama's Jewish government, which is all Jews. As I said many times, Obama is not a Muslim, and he's not a Christian that he says he is. He says he's a Christian, makes believe he's a Muslim to confuse you. But he is a Jew because his mother is a Jew. Her name is Ann Dunham. You could Google or YouTube that too. Folks, you got to wake up. I mean, it's pathetic. You've been had, taken, hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, mesmerized, and mind-fucked. And if you have children or grandchildren who are talking about going into the United States military, any branch, tell them no. Tell them to join a militia. Because the militias are the only people in this day and age that will protect your freedom. Certainly not the U.S. government that's employed by the military-industrial complex that fights bankers' wars, wars for Israel, wars that they profit on with the death or the handicapping of your children and their children. And they make money by funding both sides of the conflict, off the interest and by the armaments that their companies sell. And then they make money when you're wounded from the big pharmaceutical companies that do nothing but alleviate a symptom and then cause a greater problem. Folks, it's wake-up time. You've been had, taken, hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, mesmerized, and mind-fucked. Wake up. Or stay in a coma and become a physical slave, not just a mental slave that all those who disagree with me are now. Go ahead, Clay.
You've got it nailed pretty good, but I want you to know, folks, that it ain't quite as bleak as it might seem. There has never been a time in history when it was easy to be free. And even some of our Hollywood actors are waking up and trying to get information out to you. And I'm going to share one of those right now, because what he is talking about, I have felt and feel very strongly. There's a sense of predestination. There's a sense of knowing what is coming and knowing what we can do to fight it, and knowing that divide and conquer is the mythology, and that's the game plan, the oldest maxim in warfare: divide and conquer. Listen to Jim Carrey now.
Stood suddenly how thought was just an illusory thing.
Hang on a second, let me get it back. I wanted you to hear the whole thing. This is Jim Carrey, a comedian, but the title on this is "Nothing Will Change Until We Change. We Must Realize Unity."
A few months ago, I understood suddenly how thought was just an illusory thing, and how thought is responsible for, if not all, most of the suffering we experience. And then I suddenly felt like I was looking at these thoughts from another perspective, and I wondered, who is it that's aware that I'm thinking? And suddenly I was thrown into this expansive, amazing feeling of freedom from myself, from my problems. I saw that I was bigger than what I do. I was bigger than my body. I was everything and everyone. I was no longer a fragment of the universe. I was the universe. And ever since that day, I've been trying to get back there. It comes and it goes. It's like riding a wave. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm off. But at least I know where I want to go. And that I want to take as many people with me as I possibly can, because the feeling is amazing. I'm amazed when people go like, the world is insane, man, it's crazy, it's out of control. It's like people are completely nuts, like that. Seriously, we live on a planet where we're very crammed together, and I think we do really well. It's just that when we watch the news and we watch entertainment, it's about people.
These types of thoughts I've been getting a lot, so I understand where you're coming
together
from.
in the most exciting possible way, and you imagine that the world is this explosive, horrifying place, and the news is all this negativity condensed, you know, and it really is not representative of what the world is or what the world wants.
Your mind is the universal mind, and the only way you access that universal mind is in the now. It's never going to be in the future. Negative experiences will repeat for as long as they remain useful to you. Well, then you have to say, what does useful mean? If something pisses you off, then you're getting use out of it because it's creating an emotional reaction. So if you can learn to have this ballet dance of karma, where experiences move through you without getting stuck to you, and you bless, and you release, and you forgive, and you accept, and you love, then more and more, those experiences won't repeat anymore because you're not going to get any value out of them. They won't have a catalytic value for you.
All right, we'll stop that right there. They're here now. We are here now. We can learn from the past, and we can change the future. We don't have to live in a police state forever, but, as Russell puts it so eloquently, you got to wake the frack up. How about it, Russell?
You should do, because as I said many times, there's a great storm coming. The tide is high. There's a bad moon rising. And there's trouble in the Glen. When this storm will occur, who knows where or when, but it will occur, and this storm will bring death and or enslavement to many on frozen wind. It's been planned for many, many years, and the time is right, and it's just about ripe. Folks, you got to wake up, rise up, and rebel, and stop the storm. We don't have to have a bloody rebellion, but we have to have a revolution. The revolution is and does start with an idea. The idea that we're not gonna take it anymore. So what can we do? Let me give you a solution. First of all, the first thing you do is hit these devilish, insidious, heinous Jews, these Zionist, Talmudic rodents from the steppes of Eastern Europe, because that's what they are. They're certainly not Semitic. They're what J.R.R. Tolkien referred to in allegory in the trilogy The Lord of the Rings as the shadow from the east. They're orcs, folks. They're a Turco-Finnish Mongoloid race. They're Khazars. You can Google it, and they admit they're Khazars in any Encyclopedia Judaica, that is the Jewish encyclopedia written before 1932. You have to hit them where it hurts, and that's in the pocketbook. And you have to hit their army. Their army is the Goyim, the Shabbos Goys who served them, the Christian Zionists, the satanic Christians who believe that these mutts, these mongrels, are God's chosen people. Well, they're chosen by a God, all right, a false God called Yahweh, or Jehovah, who is naught but the moon god Sin. that the Sumerians refer to, or El Shaddai, the storm god of the Heights Coast Kings, or the demiurge, or Ialdabaoth, that the Greeks talked of. Oh yeah, Plato, Pythagoras, Solon, who I was, and I know I was in a previous incarnation, Plato's grandfather talked about. Yes. You have to know this, folks. Jesus talked about them. He said in John 8:44, which they forgot to take out of the New Testament, because they certainly corrupted that book, that ye are of your father the devil, who was a liar and a murderer from the beginning. If you read the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi Scrolls, instead of the Bible, and put the Bible back on the shelf like Humpty Dumpty, or use it for toilet tissue, then you would know. First, I suggest you read it so you'll understand there are a lot of things. You got to learn to see the details, because the devil is in the details. You got to read in between the lines. You got to have that perspicacity, that higher consciousness that Clay Douglas and I, Russell Pappalardo Sr., the mighty Phoenix, have. And you don't just get it overnight. You develop it over the years through trial and error. Oh, yeah, Clay and I have made many mistakes. We're very vociferous. We don't take shit. We don't back down. We don't accept what's unacceptable, baby. You got to do that, and then you'll know. You have to stop doing business with companies from Israel. You got to get the Israeli barcodes that are on the goods. You got to go to the supermarket with a magnifying glass. You see that barcode, consider it a red alert. You don't buy that product. You don't buy genetically modified foods from Monsanto. And you find out the list of genetically modified foods, because Monsanto owns many companies, including Kraft. That macaroni and cheese that you give your kids is killing them. So are your eggs. I'm sorry, not your eggs, your corn. How many of you know that corn, the genetically modified corn, and I love corn on the cob, just won't do it no more, actually grows tits in men. Yeah, it contains testosterone. Big problem. You got to stop believing your doctor when he tells you about cancer and chemo, because chemo is like having roaches in your house and calling in an exterminator, and instead of setting off a vapometer bomb, he sets off a nuclear bomb. You're killing yourselves out there. You're killing your children. You're feeding them with horse manure. You got to wake up and stop that storm, and you're going to do it by alienating yourself from the Jew or anyone who supports Israel, and certainly the Christian Zionist. When they call you a conspiracy theorist, because you got to talk up about this, you got to tell them there's no such thing as conspiracy theory, and you got to accuse them blatantly and look them dead in the eye. And when you do, friends, mighty forces will come to your aid. I guarantee it. I've been to hell and back. I'm the Phoenix. I can handle the heat. You look them dead in the eye and say, what you are, my friend, and then you say, apologies, you're not my friend, are an ethical government theorist. There's no such thing as ethical government, because government means, the root words of government is gubernatori, the Latin word, which means to steer, direct, and control, and mentis, which means the mind. So government is nothing more than mind control. And folks, you've been mind controlled. Oh yeah, you've been brainwashed. You've been programmed by that television set while you were being entertained. You have been put to sleep. It's time to wake up. You got to alienate yourself from Judeo-Christians, because Judeo-Christians, don't get me wrong, folks, I'm a Christian, but I'm a Gnostic Christian. I believe in salvation through knowledge and the application of that knowledge, experiencing that knowledge into the understanding of wisdom. You have to understand that the Creator is not Yahweh. The Creator is the Christos. It's not Jesus. Jesus is a son. A son of just as you are, as Clay puts it so aptly. Jesus said, you can do what I do. If you have faith as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. And you have to worship the Holy Spirit and ask her for wisdom, understanding, and luminous epinoia, which you have already. You have to ask her to open it up, which is creative imagination, so you could find a way to convince the public, as I have, about the truth. Because the truth cannot be hidden forever. The truth must come out. And I know that in an age of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. Well, call me a revolutionary. Call me an insurgent. I don't give a frack. It's a thing of no interest. Because the opinions of liars, cowards, and parroting politically correct fools are of no interest to men of my stature or to Clay's. Because we came from the same mold, different parts of the country. He's the cowboy, the biker. I'm the wise ass from New York City, the street fighter from the streets. Yeah, I'm the boy from New York City. Now I'm the man from Mount Olympus, because I have went to hell and back and went up to the heavens and met with my heavenly Father and Mother, who the Holy Spirit is, Pisces Sophia. And they have given me the gift to come back down, because I am the prodigal son. I know how to handle it. No, you can't. You don't fight evil by being evil. You have to know the ways of evil. And trust me, folks, I got more tricks, evil tricks up my sleeve than Carter has liver pills or Bayer makes aspirins. And I know how to use them, thanks to the graces, the benevolence, the magnificence of my Heavenly Father, the Christos, and my Heavenly Mother, and Jesus, who is my mentor. Oh, yeah, I'm a Gnostic. First thing you have to do is baptize yourself. And you do that with symbolic water, not actual water. You wash out all the dogma, all the balderdash, all the nonsense that you have been impregnated with over the years by your false teachers in religion, those fake redeemer religions, by your government, by the mongrel dogs who teach in your schools, and by your television set. And then you ask the Heavenly Father for the knowledge, the power, and the wherewithal to apply that knowledge, for the application of knowledge is power. You ask the Christos in the name of Jesus, and you ask Pisces Sophia to activate. Yes, you ask this Holy Spirit to activate. You ask the Divine Feminine, the great goddess of wisdom, who is one with the Christos, to give you, to activate your luminous epinoia, your creative imagination, and to give you wisdom and the understanding of wisdom, so you can apply that knowledge and power that the Heavenly Father has given you in a plethora, in a myriad of ways, to each and every situation. And you ask in the name of Jesus, and it has power. And then you will be who you really were meant to be, a spiritual, Gnostic warrior of the highest order.
That's pretty good, Russell. You know, kind of one of the things. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I'm starting on pretty quick here on my 7th or 8th decade, and it's going to be, I've told people I'm going to write science fiction. I'm going to write science fiction, but it's not. It is not science fiction. It is knowledge that I've been given many, many years ago. And I think you're going to people all over. It's going to be kind of, hopefully, it will have the same kind of effect as Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. A lot of truth.
That would be
here.
Great.
A lot of truth.
Well,
here.
you're a very skillful writer, but I haven't read everything. But back in 2001, when we first started talking, no, I think it was 2. You had sent me a lot of stuff. I can't find it. When I used to be a big fan, and I always was, it was my favorite magazine that you founded, The Free American. I read your stuff, and you're very adroit, very skillful. Like me, I wrote different types of stories. I wrote short story prison stories that were published, by the way, in 1970 by the Evergreen Review, the now defunct magazine that went out of business. They paid me $50 for each story. Oh my God, the work I put into those stories. Rewritten, wrote again, and rewritten again, just like my poem 911 that has been rewritten. And they paid me $50 a piece. I said, frack this. So what I did is my Uncle Joe, said, Russ, you got the gift, you got the rap, you got the haberdashery, you got the clothes. Go down to the garment center and get yourself a job. So I got a job in the garment center selling piece goods. I'll never forget, I had a dandy time with all those designers there. I used to sell the Anne Klein, Mansell by Christian Dior, Mansell by Betty Carroll, Anne Fogarty, Christian Dior, and I was very, very good. And then I left that for bigger and better things. Now, like most of us, I'm broke, just like you out there. Thank God I have a house over my head that's paid for. But I don't live in a grand lifestyle I used to. I mean, I was a man. I'm still a man, but do I miss the things I had? Sometimes, to be honest with you, because it's nice living on the beach and going down, taking the elevator and laying out in the sun and making yourself $10,000 to $12,000 a week for what I call doing nothing, just talking and being you. Them days are gone. They'll never come back. But what I have now is something of far more value, whose price is greater than rubies, more precious than diamonds, more beautiful than the most beautiful women in the world. I have wisdom, and I'm thankful for that. So be thankful for what you got, but folks, you got to keep on pushing. Like I say all the time, you got to keep on keeping on, and you can't quit. So I'll say that poem right now, and then I'll tell you my Facebook page is Phoenix Speaks, the #1. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, and the funds all low, and you have to sigh, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, just rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us oft-time learns. And many a fellow or lady has turned about when they might have won had they stuck it out. Often the goal is nearer then, it seems to the faint and faltering woman or man, and often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. And he learned too late when the night came down how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. You never can tell how close you are. You may be near when it seems afar. So stick to that frackin' fight when your heart is hit. It's when things seem worst that you mustn't quit.
Well, that's true also. You've got a strength there. I could have quit at any time. I lost everything at one time or another, but I could not quit. You know, the VA asked me, did you think about... What?
It's not part of your nature. You wouldn't know how.
The VA asked me, the VA psychiatrist asked me if I'd thought about suicide, and I said, yeah, I thought about it. Yeah, I thought about putting that gun to my head, pulling the trigger, and it'd all be over. But couldn't do it, won't do it, wouldn't do it, haven't done it, haven't tried. Have you ever attempted to kill yourself? No. Unless you call hitting that starter button on the Harley, you know. No. Aren't you afraid to ride now, Clay? No, I'm not afraid to ride. You ever trip? You afraid to fucking walk? No, I'm not afraid to ride. But you know, why would people have been trying to kill me? Why would I help them? Why would I help these low-life scumbags? And speaking of scumbags, Scumley has been trying to get me to take his call. I won't talk to him. I said, why would I talk to you? You're ignorant, you're abusive, all you want to do is put down any of my guests or all of my guests and me. Why would I give you airtime? And told him today, I will never do that. Never have you on again. Your voice will never cross my thing again. I don't need abusive people. I don't need ignorant people.
You're right, Clay.
Now, I give you time. I give you time because you are trying. You care about people. These trolls over here, you know, it's kind of funny because the scumly keeps calling you and I a Jew. You're Jews. That's just because that's the nastiest name he can think of to call us. And obviously, takes one to know one, I think.
You're so right, Clay. This guy is just a waste of time. I loved it the day when he called in and he debated with you and I, and then you gave out his phone number, and he got all those calls harassing him from our thousands of listeners. You know, that's very funny.
And he tried to make that sound like, oh, gee, thanks, I got all these calls from fans. You're a liar from the beginning, still a liar, and I got no use for you, got no time for you. Just ain't going to happen. What do we got here? Come here from this hour.
We gotta play again, Clay. That great song by Quicksilver. We both really like that. You know, What You Gonna Do About Me? That's really cool.
Yeah, I don't have that up. And I can't play anything like that, or YouTube kicks me off. So don't send it to me. Don't do any good. They will take it off. It's a copyright violation. So that's and YouTube. I actually do make some money out of that occasionally. Now, all right, what do we got here? We're one of the things that I've been looking at here, the rebel site from Australia has had some pretty good stuff. They sent me something the other day, and I haven't come to a conclusion on it. It's called Lucifer's Gifts to Mankind. And on it, they've got a film that talks about Jesus. It talks about Jesus, and it's pretty one-sided. And they accuse Lucifer of being evil. But again, this guy is a pretty good writer. And it's inspired me because I did a short story called The Future Past about Lucifer thousands of years ago, before the flood, during the flood. Now, this editor of the Rebel site said, when thinking about what makes humans different from animals, two things come to my mind: fire and money. Fire gives us warmth during the winter, light at night, and protects us against wild animals and enemies. Money gives us the ability of exchanging goods and services, enabling us to leverage on our special skills. Without money, we would not be able to specialize in different professions. It would be far too complicated, if not impossible, to exchange the fruits of our labor into all the necessities of life. He's talking about barter here. We wouldn't be able to store the value we've created to buy products or service from someone else who can do it better than we can do it ourselves. The person who makes them wouldn't necessarily want what we can give in return, nor not at all, or not at this stage. However, he has use for our money because he can exchange it into something else he wants right now, or maybe at a later point in time. In other words, money is the very essence of human value creation. It makes value convertible and transferable and storable for later use. As far as fire is concerned, it's just the most primitive form of energy. Took humans thousands of years how to make it convertible, transferable, and storable like money by converting it into electricity. In that sense, fire and money are the greatest gifts to mankind. According to Hebrew mythology, they were given to us by Lucifer, the fallen angels. Given how much the Jews love money and the destructive forms of energy, you got to wonder why they are claiming that it was him that gave us to us. The forces of evil have taken those precious gifts and weaponized them against humanity. In the upside-down virtual reality of the Jew verse, evil is good, hate is love, tyranny, freedom, and ugliness, beauty. Whatever these evil people touch, no matter how good, beautiful, and noble, they turn it into something despicable. Look at science, music, and art. They even turn making love into something ugly through prostitution, pornography, and by encouraging men into sticking their penis into another man's ass. Con men that they are. They mastered the art of false labeling. They made out the genocidal asshole war god Yahweh as some kind of personification of good, and the empowerer and greatest friend of mankind, and Lucifer, Satan, Brahman as the most evil thing that exists. I suspected the reason they did that is they wanted the power derived from the energy and money all to themselves. Of course, Lucifer, Satan, Brahman, and Yahweh are both just Hebrew fiction. They are personification or projections of good and evil in the world. Of course, Jews being Jews, they put the labeling upside down. It's time for mankind to wake up and see the ugly truth. We need to take control of our own destiny and stop the Jews from refusing to us what is ours. Energy and money are free like sun, water, wind, and air. The gods gave it to us. It's ours to keep. If the Jews think it's theirs to exploit and save us all, I know what to do. We can create electricity out of air, sun, and flowing water. Tesla has shown us how to even create electricity out of the Earth's magnetic field. Our planet is basically an electric power generator, providing unlimited fire-free energy. The Jew would rather sell us dirty, stinking petroleum and poison us with nuclear power. They also have a monopoly on the destructive forms of energy. They call it weapons of mass destruction and hypocritically claim they were evil, as if any other country develops and owns them but them. The situation with money is no different. The Jews have weaponized it as an oppression and enslavement tool through their private ownership of the central banks of almost all countries. They can create money out of nothing and charge us interest for its use. In the olden days, money still had a value when it was still made out of silver and gold. When inflation made use of gold and silver coins impractical, they came up with the scam of gold standard-based paper money, one of the biggest scams in human history. While at first sight it makes sense to secure paper money with the equivalent amount of gold deposited in a bank, but it's just another dirty Jewish trick. The purpose had nothing to do with protecting holders of those promissory notes called paper money, but giving the Jews control of how much paper money can be in circulation. The more money is in circulation, the more the economy will grow. The less money, paper money that is available, the more the economy will slow down. Since the Rothschilds have been in control of the value of gold in most countries for almost 2 centuries, they also controlled how much paper money a country could issue. Through this simple mechanism, they could decide whether a country did well or went into a recession. Now, what I intend to do in this year is what I started 45 years ago. I think Lucifer and Yahweh were the crew, possibly the captain and the co-captain, of what you would term a UFO, what I called an Earthship, what I called a craft built to travel between the stars, between the planets, that never used a drop of gas. Never used a drop of gas. We could fly to the moon and be back in time for supper, have lunch on the moon, be back in time for supper, and never used a drop of gas. I got a film up now on Free American 69. Tomorrow I'll be legitimate here. Tomorrow is my birthday. I will be 69 years old. And I've got something called Free Energy, the Race to 0 Point. It's important that you know that, because I've told you if we can generate our own power from the wind and the sun, everything God gave us, and we can grow our own food in our backyards, we don't need the government or the corporate farms. Plank number 9 on the Communist Manifesto. We don't need them for anything. What do you think, Russell?
Oh, I agree. Totally. I'm just marveling over here as I'm listening to you. I'm doing the show now, so I'm not in the office, and my main maitre d', who you know is Speedo, David Ruffin, is at an NA meeting for ghosts, and he just got an email from the Facebook police chief's wife, and he just posted it, what she wanted him to do. It's on my Facebook page. With Speedo, he put his picture, telling everybody good morning and what we're doing and to tune into the show. He's really a nice guy, I'm telling you, and that guy could really sing. But anyway, I agree with you, Clay. We could have free energy. It's definitely available. There's no question about it. In fact, I never forget, 1978, the end of 78, I was still I had a termite and waterproofing business, and solar energy started coming out. So I sold a few solar hot water units at the time. I used to buy them off an oil company in Bethpage, Long Island, and had the subcontractors put them in. Made some good money, but I only sold about a half a dozen. And then they completely demonized, as they do with the Arabs, and of course the bikers, and of course the militias. They basically demonized solar energy, and that was the end of that. Now it's big again, but they don't want solar energy. They want you, and they don't want natural energy. They don't want you to use the rays of the sun and anything natural to heat your home, because they don't make money on it. Their profits dwindle, and these guys are money makers. Not only do they want to enslave you, but they want to make money off you, just like they did with the World Trade Center. They enslaved you with the U.S. Patriot Act, and they made money off the insurance. That's how the Jew works. See, the Jew has you got to understand something, folks, about the Jew. The Jew is not a creative individual. He has no soul, as a rule. As a rule now. I'm not saying all of them, because some of them are friends of mine, to be quite honest with you, and they don't like Zionists either, and they don't follow their religion. But unfortunately, they had the curse of being born again as a Jew in this lifetime. I guess it was bad karma from another lifetime. And they don't... The Jew is not creative. He adapts. He borrows off every other culture and then demonizes that culture to eliminate that culture and then glorify himself. And they want one thing besides to enslave you. They want to make money. And this is why they don't want you to have a natural source of energy. What they'd rather do, and this is how evil and cantankerous and heinous and insidious they are, they own all the major oil companies. And I don't know if you know it, folks, but the real purpose of oil or petroleum, the oil in the earth, is to hold the tectonic plates together. So by taking away the oil that holds the plates together, the glue that holds the plates together and makes them move through any violent altercation, is the oil. They're weakening the earth. They're damaging the earth. And you know what? They don't give a frack. That doesn't interest them. They don't care. They want what they want now. They want to enslave you, and they want their shekels.
I've wondered about this.
Clay's right.
Who and why would anybody want to create thousands of atomic weapons? Why would they, the Jews arm both, the banksters, which are mostly Jews, arm both sides? And that's right, Lynn. It's even called fracking. The whole fracking thing is destroying the structure of the earth. It's poisoning your water. And it's part of them poisonous. That's why prank number 9 on the Communist Manifesto is corporate farms. They are trying to do that. They are trying to poison the food. That's what the Gulf was about. That whole strike on that oil rig, that was done by satellite. And they bragged to me. I went to White Sands to see that weapon, the air-to-ground missile, or the laser. Airborne laser is what they called it back then. They bragged, we can hit the O in God on a dime in the hands of a running man at 50 miles. And that's what hit that oil rig. Again, what are they doing? Poisoning the water. The same thing probably happened with Fukushima. Again, poisoning your food supply, poisoning the ocean. They want to release it. And guess who? I just found this out yesterday. I was talking about Monsanto. Guess who owns something like 500,000 shares of Monsanto? Bill Gates. And Monsanto is poisoning your children. They're being born with autism, like our friend Tammy. Her daughter is autistic. And, let's see if I got that. The Monsanto, they are going into a class action suit. They're doing a class action suit against Monsanto. And where is this here? I just found it. Let me look here again, see if I can find it here. There was Washington was flying the communist flag in honor of having a visitor from China. Some patriots went up, some oath keepers went up and took it down. And here we go. Here we go. Remember, I just talked about this yesterday, and this hit the news today. Roundup made by Monsanto, who also gave us Agent Orange. the Roundup class action suit is going national. Attorney Matthew Phillips recently announced a shift in his L.A. County class action suit against Monsanto's Roundup for false advertising. The lawsuit defendants have the choice of court venue, while plaintiffs choose the geographical location of the court. So the defendant and Monsanto's attorney have chosen to move the suit from L.A. County to a California county court to a California federal court. So instead of only California resident, this class action suit will now involve anyone in the whole nation who has purchased Roundup during the last 4 years. It's not a personal injury suit. It's a valid false advertising claim. If all goes well, the false advertising suit, a personal injury class action legal claim may ensue. The previous article announced that the L.A. County class suit was for Californians only. Roundup labels have the following prominent text. Did you know glyphosate targets an enzyme found in plants but not in people or pets? This claim has been scientifically determined to be completely false. Apparently, this decision to use a federal court is a move by Monsanto as defendant to avoid state-by-state lawsuits from cropping up and spreading the Phillips suit were to succeed in California. The federal court's decision, whichever way it goes, will keep that from happening. On the other hand, Phillips' suit is now open for everyone in the natures who has purchased Roundup in the past 4 years, not just Californians. The enzyme Roundup targets is EPSP glyphosate synthesis, but it's not just in plants, it's in humans and animals. This enzyme is a part of the human gut microbia. It's a part of what the gut needs for digestion and to perform as a major part of our immune system. Destroying the enzyme inhibits probiotic microbe colony life, leading to serious digestive issues such as Crohn's and irritable bowel syndrome, as well as impairing our natural immune systems and now causing even more potential harm for future generations. We just talked about glyphosate and its added ingredients, which make it easily absorbed through plant tissue more effectively, has been discovered by Francis Seralini and other researchers to create a biocide that permeates and kills everything in its path in the soil and causes damage to animal and human organs. You can't remove Roundup's herbicidal residue from your food. Its effectiveness comes from the plants absorbing it into their cellular tissue, but you can wind up eating it even if you're avoiding GMO plant foods. Glyphosate is often used as a non-GMO grains to dry out grain crops and permit early harvesting. And there's a mainstream media blackout on this Roundup suit. Now, folks, that's probably one of the reasons you should be listening to the Free American. You should be sharing the Free American. I am working for you. Russell is working for you. We're trying to bring you this information. The efforts to publicize the original suit filed in Los Angeles County on April 20th, 2015 has been rejected by the LA Times, the New York Times, Huffington Post, CNN, and Reuters, one of the world's largest news agency, which was bought by the Rothschilds in the 1800s. Attorney Phillips has been posting the suit in Wikipedia's Monsanto litigation section, but it keeps getting removed. Russell, you should be sharing this show. You should be telling people about this show, not working for the Jews and trying to ignore me, or working for these trolls that inhabit our chat rooms.
You're right. It's...
Well, just a moment
Hey,
here.
Clay,
Scumley's in my chat room again. Scumley, if you're listening here, I will never let you talk on my radio show again. Go to hell. Get off of my site and don't ever come back. You can call all you want. I don't have to take your call, you stupid son of a bitch. I don't have any idea. I'm just kicking him every time he shows up. I got no reason to listen to this. We're talking about serious things, and I don't need him to listen to him calling you names, calling me names. It ain't gonna happen, folks. I wouldn't subject you to that.
Yeah, this guy is wild. He calls up, he accuses me. He says he's going to beat the shit out of me, which is an impossibility. He says I'm a fat Jew, that I probably look very fat, and all. You know, it's just too much to handle. The guy's a total freak. He has no savoir-faire, no panache, no elan, no class whatsoever. But then again, what Jew has? Only the professional actors who use different names. I think when they change their name to hide their Jewishness, they become classy. Isn't that amazing?
I just got no patience with these trolls here. It just ain't gonna happen, man. I ain't gonna listen to it. I ain't gonna deal with it.
You ain't paying to have put a show on the air to be impeded in awakening the American masses. Which reminds me, folks, we need donations. It takes money to keep this show on.
It does.
And by the way, folks,
keep on going. I'm gonna go heat my coffee up while you're telling them why they need to.
When you get back, I gotta run inside some coffee because I'm soaking my foot as I do this video. I had a little. By the way, folks, yesterday I had a little look like an infection in my foot. I couldn't see it, but I couldn't walk. In fact, I posted a video about it on my timeline if you scroll down. So what I did is I called my son because I couldn't get to the store to get what I needed to do what I wanted to do, and he came right over. He was on his way to the gym, but he's awesome. And he put off the gym, and I told him what I wanted to do. He said, "You want to go to the hospital?" I said, "Absolutely not. I don't go to hospitals." So what he did was he went out and got me the stuff, and I took a knife, and I sliced open the bottom of my foot and soaked it in Epsom salt and drew some pus out of whatever it was, and then put, some bacitracin and some other stuff. This morning, Clay told me when I soak it to spray colloidal silver on it, which I have in the house, which I did, and it's feeling a lot better. But, I forgot what I was going to say. We need donations and to keep the show afloat. You could go get that by going to freeamerican69.com. We don't care what you donate. It could be a little, it could be a lot. That's up to you. We all have our own budgets.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Hold it, Russell. Hold it. It's Free American 69 on Facebook. That's on my Skype, and that's on my YouTube. FreeAmerican.com is where they can make the donation.
Good. Okay, now let me continue, Mr. Douglas.
Go right ahead.
If you folks are in need of business money, if you have a business that's active, I can get you business money regardless of your credit if your business is really active and you could show legitimate bank statements. Also, I can get you money to purchase commercial real estate anywhere in the United States, with the exception of Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and Puerto Rico. No Canada, please. Just the United States. If you want to buy a property, I don't care if it's $500,000, if it's a commercial property, or if it's as high as $20 million. I can get you the money if your credit is decent and you could show income improved by the rent rolls of that building, it's a real income-producing property. All you got to do is email me, and if you have any question about anything, you can email me at rjptata@yahoo.com. Oh yeah, come to Papa. RJP, T as in Peter, ATATA @yahoo.com. That's all T's as in Peter, no T's as in Thomas. Remember, I can get you money for your business, or I can get you money to purchase a commercial piece of property if it's an income-producing property. RJPTATA @yahoo.com. Clay, give me a moment. I got to grab some coffee and just dump this water.
That's all right. I've got my coffee. We got that done. And again, we've got pretty much. We've got 2 or 3 people that like the show and actually have a ability to contribute. Now, David, Lynn has asked you for the punchline on your joke. We've all heard the joke 2 or 3 times, and give them the punchline. Give them the punchline. And I don't give a shit about Teddy. He ain't going to be, as soon as I recognize him, he is gone. And also is all the other people that are putting these stupid names on. Got no desire to talk with Baron von Rothschild. Just another idiot trying to get some attention. No. Baron von Rothschild is Ted. He's gone. And Jimmy the Greek has been kind of quiet. So don't screw it up now. I'm gonna go to. I told you. Let's see if we can do this. All right. Where we go?
All right, I'm back.
All right, sir. I was.
Something I want to say. It's very important.
Okay.
Folks, many of you don't know, but I'm involved in the production of a new film, which we have a lot of money for already, but we're trying to get more money from Kickstarter.com. It's called Greetings from Saugerties. Donations are appreciated. We'd like to get another $750,000, and we haven't been successful. We have almost $1 million now. We're looking for about 1.75, but if we have to, we'll do the film for less. The film is an attack on Big Pharma, in which I play basically myself, a radio station host. It's a story of redemption about 2 people who big actors are going to be in this. I'm not going to tell you their names, but about a journalist who likes to fool around with the ladies, and he loses everything. He's around 40-ish, and he comes to work for me. I get arrested in the film for telling the truth because I expose Big Pharma and autism, that's caused by vaccinations that doctors force upon children under the auspices of Big Pharma, who makes money off the actual vaccines. The film is called Greetings from Saugerties. It's on my Facebook timeline. If you should donate to the film, whether it's $5, $100, $5,000, $1,000, it doesn't matter. Mention to Michael Espinosa, the director of the film, who, by the way, was one of the directors in the movies Brooklyn's Finest with Richard Gere. Tell him that Russell said anyone who donates, when the film is done and all is put together and it comes out, I will send you a free copy of a DVD on the film out of my pocket. I promise you that. And Clay will tell you, and anyone who knows me, I live up to my promises. I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. So donations to Greetings from Saugerties will be highly appreciated. But if you're hearing what I'm speaking now, say that Russell promised me a free DVD and you will get it, without a doubt. It's on my Facebook timeline, which is Facebook.com/Phoenix Speaks 1. You just scroll down, and it'll always be up every night, because Michael posted again on my timeline every night when I close out the show with a doo-wop song. It could be, song could be Good Night Baby by the Lip Sync, or Good Night Sweetheart, Good Night by the Spaniels, or it could be It's Going to Be a Long Night by the Commodores, the Night Shift, which is always, those three are always posted every night before I pack it in on the internet. Go ahead, Clay.
It's nothing. We've got somebody that wants to advertise, and except they can't see what the hell they're doing. So that's it. I want to talk about now. This is from, and I posted this. The Lucifer's Gifts to Mankind. I'm going to play a little clip from this. And they talk about what I talk about. We can create electricity out of the wind, sun, and flowing water. Tesla has shown us how to even create electricity out of Earth's magnetic field. Our planet is basically an electric power generator provided unlimited free energy. The Jew would rather sell us dirty, stinking petroleum and poison us with nuclear power. Energy and money are free like sun, water, and air. God gave it to us. It's ours to keep. If the Jews think it's theirs to exploit and enslave us all, I know what to do. Do you?
We live in a vast sea of energy. Everything, every atom, every subatomic particle is in constant motion, spinning eternally. Even in the cold, dark, absolute vacuum of empty space, there exists what new physics is calling the quantum vacuum flux. It is the ether of the ancients, the life force energy of metaphysics, are the random fluctuations of this vast field of potential in which space and time are embedded. Now, theoretically and mathematically proven, the question no longer is, does this zero-point energy exist? But rather, can we tap this inexhaustible resource of free and unlimited energy and manifest new technologies which are both inexpensive and environmentally safe? One thing is certain. If we continue on the course of rapidly burning fossil fuels and relying on nuclear fission, the future of our civilization is in grave jeopardy. We're at a critical juncture where the ravages of industrial pollution and radioactive waste have exceeded the carrying capacity of Mother Earth. Our finite reserves of oil and gas will be completely exhausted by the year 2025 at the present rate of consumption. Large corporate and governmental self-interest ignore this pending crisis and resist change to the status quo. The question must be asked, is this the kind of world we want to pass down to future generations? Emerging on the frontiers of science, a pioneering breed of theoretical physicists and inspired inventors are challenging the way we think about harnessing the unseen forces of nature. Despite ridicule, lack of funding, and outright suppression, they are confronting an outmoded classical worldview and ushering in a monumental scientific revolution. In this program, you will witness the groundbreaking work of tireless inventors and visionary scientists who may hold the keys to true energy independence for every person on Earth, from Nikola Tesla to the reality of cold fusion and beyond. Join us as we present Free Energy, the race to 0 point.
All right, Russell, this is your day, this is your show. So this is linked on my Facebook page to the Lucifer's Gifts to Man. And again, this is what I intend to do with the work that the fiction that I'm going to do, because I think our religion has been compromised. It's been twisted to favor mainly the Jews. The whole Bible, if you read the Bible and the Old Testament and compare that to the words of Jesus, yeah, the Old Testament predicts we'll have a Messiah coming. And I personally think Jesus was the first rebel, but I think Jesus could have been an incarnation of an immortal, and I may even change the title of my book to The Immortals, so we don't attract the negativity that the name Lucifer entails. If you read my books and see what my Lucifer, my imaginary character that I created, was about, and what the church is about, it wasn't Lucifer that raided the Mayans and stole the gold from the Aztec and murdered the American indigenous population, the ones you call Indians. And it wasn't Lucifer that murdered 60 million white Christian Russians in the new Soviet Union, the old Russia. We just haven't got our history right, and we may not have our religions right. What do you think, Russell?
Well, I don't think that. I know it. The whole thing is a sham. The teachings of the Lord of the Magi, the Gnostic master, Jesus, have been Judaicized. And by the way, if you want to know who Jesus really is something they didn't take it out of the Bible I don't know if they didn't take it out because they forgot or because you wouldn't read it, because it's hard to find. It's in the Latin Vulgate and only the Latin Vulgate. In Peter 1, it says that I, Jesus, am Lucifer, son of the morning. Lucifer, folks, as I've said many times, and I'll say many times again to get it through your thick, brainwashed skulls, is not Satan. Satan means adversary of the Creator. Lucifer means the light bearer. Jesus is Lucifer. He was also incarnated as Enki in the Garden of Eden. He was the serpent who gave man knowledge, the knowledge of good and evil, because man was created, put into a body, I should say, recreated, to be a slave by a character, an archon by the name of Enlil, who happened to be the grandfather of Yahweh. Jesus was Enki. Of course, prior to that, he was Lucifer. As Enki, he was captured in the Sirius star system, and because of his vast knowledge, was taken by the reptilian Anunnaki to their draconian planet, and then came down to Earth and wanted man to be recreated by Enlil, which he did, and then he didn't want to see man as a slave, so he gave them the knowledge of good and evil, which, by the way, is the first thing that you teach your children when they are born. The knowledge of good and evil once they're old enough to know. But
let me stop you let me stop you for a second, because this has been my primary question for many years. Why would God not want his Adam and Eve to know the difference between good and evil, unless, of course, he was evil himself?
Absolutely, Clay. Absolutely. You're correct. It's such a sham. And it says, let us go down and make man into our image. In other words, change him into their image. Make him into a predator, a robot predator slave. See, what happened in the so-called Eden land was that the reptilians were mining gold in the jungles between the rivers, the Tigris and Euphrates Valley, and they rebelled against Anu, the god. That's where you get the name Anunnaki. And you can read all this in the Sumerian tablets if you have the time. And they decided, okay, we can't handle this rebellion. Let's create a slave race. So they took the souls of man and they put the original inhabitants of the earth. I suggest that they were the elders, or the elfin, or the elfin race that Tolkien talked of. That was his allegory, and they put them into bodies. They captured many of them, turned many of them into orcs, as Tolkien said, genetically modified them, and then the rest they killed, and they made them into a slave race that did the bidding of Yahweh to mine gold. Not Yahweh, Enlil, Yahweh's grandfather, to mine gold and to be a slave. And by the way, and Clay will tell you and vouch for me here, those gold mines have been found in Africa. They're over 100,000 years old. So this nonsense, this unadulterated balderdash, this fairy tale that you hear by your preachers that the earth is only 4,000 or 6,000 years old is malarkey. Man was created in this body as a slave, and man is a predator. And why, folks, your prayers don't work is you're praying to the wrong God. You're praying to a false God. You're praying to a 16-foot reptilian. Yeah, folks, read The Shining Ones, which I have a copy of, which is very hard to get. I got it by, I'm not going to tell you how I got it, but I got it from a London library. I don't want to incriminate myself. A library in London in '98 by Chris and Joy O'Brien, two very famous archaeologists. He has a whole chapter on Jehovah proving he was a 16-foot reptilian. Folks, if it wasn't for Lucifer or Enki or folks, you'd still be mining gold in Africa. Wake the frack up and start praying to the right God. Then maybe the circumstances of your life will change. And give thanks for what you have. Remember about those veterans, those hapless veterans, those good guys who thought they were fighting for your country, who live in bridges, in boxes, under bridges, in the major cities of the United States. I've seen those boxes. I've talked to those veterans. Remember, I'm a New York City boy. Oh, yeah, I'm the ones at the Manhattan Transfer and the in 1980 and the ad-libs sang about 1965. When they said, ooh, coo, kitty, talk about the boardroom, that's me. I've seen them. Be thankful you're not one of them. And when you pray for yourself, give thanks and pray for them too. Pray for our boys who were taken, hoodwinked, and bamboozled into fighting for the military-industrial complex, and for greater Israel, the roguish, the most deceitful, nefarious, heinous, insidious, cantankerous, rambunctious, terrorist nation on earth, along with its two sister nations and the little sister. Yeah, the true axis of evil, the United States, Israel, and Great Britain, and their little sister, comprised of Jewish leaders who make believe they're Arabs in Saudi Arabia. Folks, wake the frack up. Now, I know many of you will disagree with what I've said today, and frankly, I don't give a frack. The opinions of lesser men are of no interest to me. But as for me, I would not have the bank accounts of my brothers and sisters stripped of capital. I would not have it so. I would not see them thrown into FEMA camps that are springing up all over this great nation. I will not see them thrown into FEMA coffins that you can see on the murals that line the walls of Denver International Airport. No way. But to those of you who do agree with me, I take my hat off you. You know, the red one, my favorite, that I wear in lip-sync videos oft times on Facebook and on my YouTube channel. You are the lights at the end of a very dark tunnel. You are the bringers of a new dawn. But the rest of you could go fuck yourselves. But the choice is yours.
You made a statement here.
You can go back.
You made a statement, Russell, that I want to highlight because I've met Lyndon LaRouche. I met him on the presidential campaign trail back in 1996. And his organization has always pointed the finger of blame at the Great Britain, the empire on which the sun never sets. And they're the ones that gave us Israel. He says, as Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip arrived Wednesday in Germany for a 3-day visit, the truly satanic nature of the British Empire was on full display. Prince Philip's top aide, Martin Palmer, is the principal organizer of a French government-sponsored Paris conference in July, peddling the same genocidal program of Earth stewardship that would-be mass murderer John Schulenhuber inserted into the recent papal encyclica on climate change. The Paris conference is part of a propaganda assault leading to the next Copenhagen conference at the end of the year, also in Paris. The World Watch Institute, founded by Lester Brown, has issued a report demanding an end to all subsidies for fossil fuel and nuclear power, just as part of the drive for a total conversion to renewables like solar and wind. Any such reversal of the core principle of increased energy flux density means mass genocide on the scale that Prince Philip and Schulenhuber have been advocating for decades. Leading Italian economist Nino Galloni has penned an excellent attack on the recent papal encyclical, precisely from the standpoint of the concept of energy flux density developed by Lyndon LaRouche. The question that must be posed to all sane citizens is, are you for the British Empire's genocide, or are you for the human race? Are you with Zeus or Prometheus? This is no abstract question. With the entire European financial system just days away from potential complete meltdown, around the showdown with Greece and with a British-led NATO explicitly provoking thermonuclear confrontation with both Russia and China, the very survival of mankind is on the line. There is no question where President Obama stands. He is a British agent, Israeli agent, fully committed to the genocidal agenda of Prince Philip, Martin Palmer, John Schulenhuber, and the rest. Yesterday, the internationally renowned Doctors Without Borders issued a highly unusual, scathing attack on Obama for his Trans-Pacific Partnership free trade swindle, which the release details will shut off affordable medicine for at least 500 million people under the secret clauses of the treaty, written in league with the major pharmaceutical companies. This is mass murder, plain and simple, and this is Obama. The greatest danger to human survival is the British Empire's plan for mass genocide, as expressed by the Queen's agent, Schulenhuber. This is a full-blown commitment by the British royal family to reduce the world population to under 1 billion people. Any other matters or distractions, and intentionally engineers distractions to prevent any effective counter to the genocidal plans. The British Empire is a satanic force and is the continuation of the European empire system that has been war with mankind ever since the launching of the 15th century Renaissance by Cardinal Nicholas of Cusa. The empire's response to Cusa and the Renaissance was the launching of 150 years of uninterrupted religious war on the European continent. The latest expression of the British monarchy's commitment to the same mass extinction is the Schulenhuber operation run against the Pope. It's around this issue that the future of mankind will be decided in the immediate period ahead. Russell?
Well, I agree totally, and I know the British Empire, when they talk about the British Empire, which is located in the City of London, and that's not, the City of London, by the way, folks, is a separate district in London. That's a totally owned nation. It's a nation within a nation, just like the Vatican is a nation within a nation in Europe, in Italy, in Rome, and just like the United States is a nation within, the District of Columbia is a nation within a nation in your country. So I agree with Clay totally. I've been to the City of London. I was in London in 1998. Yeah, I was in Paris there too. Spent a week at the Louvre. Had a great time. Really, me and the ex, and also in London that year. It was really great. Clay is so correct about that. The city is an empire, and this empire has to be destroyed. As I was saying before Clay, went on to explain to you about the British Empire, folks, you have a choice. I'm an advocate of free will, a staunch advocate of free will. You see my video, it's your thing, do what you want to do. As long as you follow the 50 spiritual and cosmic laws of the universe, which can be summed up in the golden rule of Jesus, who says, do unto others the way you would want them to do unto you. You got to do the thing you ought to do at the time you ought to do it. You got to be righteous, and that's righteousness, following that law. Righteousness is also stopping anyone who tries to infringe upon your free will. So the choice is yours. You could go back to your sofas, to your recliners, to your couches, pop another Xanax, another Valium, take another Oxycontin, a Percocet, a Demerol, a Dilaudid. I've done it. I know all about it. I've been there and done that. Terrible addiction. As I said, I've gotten over it many years, but I've done it. It's a terrible thing. But you could do that, or you could join us, and together we can make the mighty Zionist empire on the Potomac, your Potomac, and in Britain, in London, in the city, and in Italy, in Rome, in the Vatican. We can make them tremble, crumble, and fall. The choice is yours. That's all I have to say. But you know what? I do have something else to say. Patrick Henry once said, is life so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased by the chains of slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know what price, know not what course others may take. But as for me, give me liberty or give me death.
Well, we need more Patrick Henrys today. And let's see, we got a few minutes left here. He's getting into...
Hey, Clay.
Yes, sir.
Clay, let me ask you something. Let me ask you, brother. Is this going on YouTube, today's show?
Yes. Yes, it will.
Good. And how's the chat room doing today?
How's who?
The chat room. How's our chat room doing today?
Oh, Scumley's been back. Let me out, let me out, let me out. I know what part of screw you don't you understand.
I'm talking about real people.
There's been 2 or 3. We got Dr. D. Charge and Lynn has been on there. They're real people. They've been listening, and we appreciate that. But let's hear Lyndon LaRouche from June 25th. We got just a few more minutes here. Let's see what Lyndon's got to say. I enjoyed meeting him. I've enjoyed reading his work. I think he overlooks Israel because Israel was created by England, so he may be right in that. And I can't really tell you, does the United States run Israel, or does Israel run us?
Good evening, everyone. This is John Asher in Leesburg, Virginia, and I am happy to welcome everyone back to the LaRouche PAC Activist Conference Call featuring Lyndon LaRouche. And this is, this evening, the 6th discussion we will have had with Mr. LaRouche, and this is happening under absolutely dramatic conditions, which I'm sure will be spelled out this evening. So with what has gone on, particularly since the end of last week, and the declaration of war against humanity by the British Empire, and Lyndon LaRouche's response, I'm sure that many of you on the phone here this evening will, and those of you listening on the internet as well, will have questions for Mr. LaRouche. So it's very, very important in this dialogue this evening that people come out of this in full fighting mode and fighting shape, because we are without any question at an enormous turning point for civilization. So here we are a few minutes before we officially kind of turn everything on and get the call officially underway. So again, if you're just getting on, this is John Asher here in Leesburg, Virginia, welcoming you. If you're here for the first time, you have come to the right place. This is the location where the real presidency of the United States is being rebuilt in a dialogue with many-time presidential candidate Lyndon LaRouche. We're welcoming our telephone audience as well as those who are joining us via various means on the internet, which of course could be in this country, could be elsewhere as well. So welcome to all of you here this evening. So I'll point out to you as people are getting on right now, and we'll be getting underway in just in about 3 minutes, some things that are important that are available through LaRouchePAC.com.
Skipping ahead here.
This discussion, is this same pattern of Europe? Europe are refusing to admit my eyes are bothering me here, that's what the problem is. Their governments, because I wrote it myself, or their representatives, have committed a fraud against the Greek people. And these elements are demanding that they get consideration, that the Greeks have to pay the debt, which is a fraud which has been created. Just simply say the fraud will not be honored. So, you stole the money for purely speculation, and you're now demanding to get it all over again. And what we're saying, so what? You've stolen more than enough already. That should be the slogan. The fly in the ointment is that there's an honest department of debt which are attributed to the Greeks. They would mean that we should be bankrupting major speculative interests in Europe and the United States in particular. Therefore, the only way to settle this thing is not to worry about what the Greeks are doing. The problem is that Europe has to worry about is the fact that the European debts, which are gambling debts, are not fungible. Therefore, that would mean, for example, canceling Wall Street and going back to Glass-Steagall. That's policy. What we should be saying, you guys missed the point, because what you're defining are worthless assets. You have to try to recommit. You're trying to recommit a fraud, which you had already committed previously. Now, cut it out. What you have done to go to a global Glass-Steagall policy. Come
come along with the United States and will restore Glass-Steagall policy in the United States and will cancel the worthless debts. And you, in Europe, will cancel your worthless debts of the same nature, especially the British. That's the only way to handle this. The fact is that the only way that this is going to work, Europeans must eat, and they should eat, because we know that much of the banking sector is purely speculation. And what they're doing is the production, pardon me, my eyes are still bothering me, the establishment of the Glass-Steagall policy for the relevant regions of the planet, including the USA, and so forth and so on. We'll all go back to a Glass-Steagall policy. That's the only way to get out of this mess. Because if you close down the banks in the U.S., which are speculative banks, you do so under U.S. law. And therefore, you have to now change the character of the money system in the United States, in particular, to eliminate this swindle system.
All right, that's enough.
To use that as a source of credit.
That's enough. We are.
Source of credit
That's what we
in the
are
hands of the U.S. government.
promoting
And it's now
here.
the U.S. government, which is the agency which represents